Here is my ranking of each arc of Star Wars Andor. We're going to start from worst to best. Worst is just least best because each of these arcs are great. And in number 8 spot, we got Season 2, Arc 1. Now, this one is still a very good arc. The Yavin 4, that stuff is a little rough. What I love about this arc is the Vonsi conference that Krennic has with his Imperial officers. I love that, the
deep substrate foliated kalkite.
Them planning the destruction of Ghorman, essentially. And if they find any resistance, then they have to stamp it out and turn the popular opinion against Ghorman. The wedding with Mon Mothma. I've seen a lot of people say that they thought the wedding was lame and that it could have been an email, and I couldn't disagree more, because the very last scene of episode 3, where she's dancing away her troubles, and spoilers, Brasso is just killed, and then Luthen with his...
How nice for you.
Oh, in the opening scene with Cassian and the girl, you can tell the start of season 1 to the start of season 2 how much Cassian has changed, where he's giving this big heroic speech to someone who is about to give her all to the rebellion and risk her life.
You made this decision long ago. The Empire cannot win. You'll never feel right unless you're doing what you can to stop them.
In 7th place, we've got season 1, arc 1. It was a back and forth for me for which arc would be 7th and 8th. These last 2 arcs are pretty much on the same level, but this arc has grown on me a great deal. When Andor was announced, I was like a little skeptical, but excited because, it sounded interesting. A spy thriller about this character that we don't know really the backstory of. When the trailer came out, I thought the trailer looked great, and a lot of people still were not very excited. And then, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi had just come out a few months before this, and I hated Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, I can't stand that show. It has a few things that it does right, but when you're throwing 100 darts at a dartboard, a few of them are going to hit. I could tell right away the difference in production quality. You could tell that the people making Andor knew what they were doing. Having the actors on set instead of in the volume makes a huge difference. Tony Gilroy made sure that they shot on location, and he thought that was pivotal, and I'm so glad that they did. The introduction of Ferrix, and then the very first time we see Cassian, he is going to a brothel to find his sister. In the first 15 minutes, you have 2 murders. Luthen comes for Cassian for the Starpath unit. That scene was like solidifies how good the show is going to be. I don't understand how people find this boring.
To steal from the Empire? What do you need? A uniform, some dirty hands, and an Imperial toolkit. They're so proud of themselves. They don't even care. They're so fat and satisfied.
The introduction of Cyril Karn, him being a self-righteous cop, believing so much in the cause, and the scene of him giving his speech on the ship before they go to Ferrix is hilarious. And then the end of episode 3, where Luthen and Cassian escape, and then Cyril's just standing there like, this is what happens when you don't have order. So these episodes are great just because they're in 7th place. Doesn't mean they aren't. All right, in 6th place, we got Season 2, Arc 2. Devil Skolden has to check all of his antiques, and so Clea and Luthen have to devise a plan to remove the listening piece that they have in one of these. It sounds like the most boring thing ever, but that scene is so tense. And then this is where Cassian is given the mission by Luthen to go to Ghorman for the first time and to assess what they have going on and if they are ready to be rebels, essentially. Cassian doesn't think they're ready. And then Luthen sends Vel and Cinta. Cinta gets killed by one of the Ghormans, not on purpose, but they told them to not bring guns to the heist that they were doing, and this guy did. One of the things I love about this show is that it doesn't have plot armor. I just can't overstate that. I love that any character can die at any moment. It just drives the stakes up so much higher than other Star Wars shows. And then this is also where Cyril is on Ghorman, and he's there to investigate outside agitators, whatever that means. But he thinks it's a noble cause. Now in 5th place, and I had a very hard time with this one. I hate that I had to put this one so low. Season 2, Arc 4. This is the Kleia extraction arc from Coruscant and the Kleia backstory arc with Luthen. And it is a perfect ending to the series. It knew exactly where it was going leading up to Rogue One. The ending of Season 2 is literally seconds before Rogue One starts. They couldn't have done any better with what they did. Elizabeth Dulau, who plays Kleia, is fantastic. And Dedra finally confronting Luthen is so good.
You disgust me.
Do you want to know why?
Everything you stand for.
Now you're too late. The rebellion isn't here anymore. It's flown away. It's everywhere now. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to disgust you.
Her downfall is so satisfying, and Luthen's death is so sad, but even more sad is Luthen killing Lonnie right after he gives him the most valuable information in the galaxy. And then Cassian and Melshi and K2SO go to Coruscant to extract Kleia. K2SO becomes nightmare fuel in his hallway scene, and it's perfect. Love this arc, and it couldn't have been any better. In 4th place, and this is the one that I was going back and forth with Season 2 Arc 4 about, and it is Season 1 Arc 4. This arc is fantastic. Arguably the best part of these episodes is Marvis' posthumous speech. Her fight the Empire is so simple, but so effective. And then Brasso hitting that Imperial officer with her brick is so satisfying. At the very end, Cassian joins Luthen. In 3rd place, and if I didn't already know that this show was going to be fantastic, this was the point that I knew. Season 1, Arc 2, the Aldhani arc. Now, I absolutely adore this arc. It's a perfect representation of how to use exposition and character building and plot progression to build up to a finale. Episodes 4 and 5 usually get left out of the equation here, but if it weren't for those episodes, episode 6, the Eye would not be nearly as impactful. I love Nemik and Cassian's conversations in those episodes. Those are probably my favorite parts of those episodes.
The Empire has no moral boundaries. Why should we not take hold of every chance we can?
Well, you're half right. The Empire doesn't play by the rules.
Mon Mothma is also introduced, and then Dedra Meero and the ISB.
Anyone. We're here to further security objectives by collecting intelligence, providing useful analysis, and conducting effective covert action, sir.
Season 1 Arc 2 leads up to Season 1 Arc 3. It is cinematic television perfection, in my opinion. We start with the ISB crackdown after the Eye of Aldhani called PORD, and we get the scene, the only scene with Yularen in the whole show.
I spoke with Emperor Palpatine last night, and he's assured me that the ISB will be taking the lead going forward.
And Cassian goes to Naimos, which is Space Miami, and he gets arrested. Not for the millions of credits that he stole. And then this brings him to the Narkina 5 prison, which is the most suffocating that I've seen in fiction. You really see the cruelty of the Empire here. Episode 10 explodes in a prison break. It's so action-packed, and I don't even know how many times I've watched that episode, but every time I'm on the edge of my seat, and it's just done so well. There's also Mon Mothma, who is running into some money problems, and she has to find a way to cover up what she is doing with her money. Davos Skolden offers his son for her daughter. She doesn't like that, but she has no choice. Kino Loy gives an epic speech during the prison break, and then it's one-upped by Luthen at the very end of the 10th episode.
What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them.
It ended number 1, and I think most people would have this as their number 1. A few of the others come close to this one, but Season 2, Arc 3, aka the Ghorman Massacre arc. When I first watched this arc, I was devastated. You know that the Ghorman Massacre is coming because it was part of Star Wars canon before Andor was a thing, and the writers of Andor incorporated it to such a fascinating place. And this is the start of episode 8. They're all going to the plaza. They're like, yes, we can protest against the Empire and what they're doing and their occupation. The way that the Ghorman Massacre starts is genius. An Imperial sniper up in the rafters, and he shoots one of the Imperial recruits. So all these recruits out there are new soldiers, and they have never seen any battle or skirmish like this before. And then the lieutenant thinks that it was one of the Ghormans that shot him, and he was like, oh, they're shooting us, open fire. And so all the stormtroopers and all of the recruits opened fire on the Ghormans, and you knew this was coming, but it's just amazing writing. And from there, it's just an avalanche. So the Ghorman Massacre is absolutely devastating, and it destroys you and leaves you broken. And then we still have one more episode. This one is called Welcome to the Rebellion, episode 9. Mon Mothma's speech to the Senate re-energizes you as the viewer and the rebellion in the story. She runs away from the Senate after giving her genocide speech, condemning the Empire for what they did and their press on it. Who Are You and Welcome to the Rebellion 8 and 9, right back to back, just makes this the number 1 arc. It's just television, cinematic, whatever, perfection. I will never stop glazing these episodes and this show. And there we have it, all 8 Andor arcs ranked in the official way by Save the Rebellion. And remember, I have friends everywhere.